Trotz allem, was wir getan haben, werden wir euch stoppen und besiegen. Härter, als ihr jemals zuvor geschlagen wurdet. Unterschätzt nicht, dass andere Staaten wie Russland, China, Iran und Nordkorea von uns gelernt haben. Sie haben genau beobachtet, wie wir 1991 und 2003 gekämpft haben.
Anywhere, anytime. Additionally, the battlefield will be highly complex, almost certainly in dense urban areas. And against
in deterring or, if necessary, defeating an aggressive Russia.
Defeating an aggressive Russia? That means war.
Военные России и Китая вместе работают над тем, чтобы уменьшить угрозу, исходящую от развития американской противоракетной обороны. Сегодня планы Вашингтона подробно обсудили на конференции в Пекине. Один комплекс ПРО уже на боевом дежурстве в Румынии, еще один строит в Польше, и Пентагон продвигает планы разместить противоракеты в Южной Корее. Все якобы для защиты от возможного ракетного удара из Ирана и Северной Кореи. Но, уверены и наши, и китайские эксперты, для Соединенных Штатов это только предлог.
Система противоракетной обороны существенно меняет баланс сил в области наступательных вооружений, так как позволяет более эффективно планировать превентивный ракетный удар. Истинными целями создания глобальной системы ПРО США являются снижение потенциала стратегических ядерных сил России, а в отношении китайского ракетно-ядерного потенциала получение возможности его полного обнуления. Скрытое создание мощного ударного компонента для возможного нанесения ракетно-ядерного удара по нашим странам, а также расширение возможностей по уничтожению искусственных спутников Земли на низких орбитах.
Яблочко.
As the Clinton campaign faces more fallout from the apparent hack of campaign chairman John Podesta's personal email, the campaign today called on Trump to condemn what Clinton folks say is Russia's, quote, direct assault on our democracy. Well, when I sat down with Vice President Biden yesterday, I asked him about how the U.S. is responding to all of the recent hacking from Russia. Why haven't we sent a message yet to Putin?
We're sending a message. We have the capacity to do it, and the message
He'll
we
know
sent, he'll know it, and it'll be at the time of our choosing, and under the circumstances that have the greatest impact. The capacity to fundamentally alter the election is not what people think, and I tell you what, to the extent that they do, we will be proportional in what we do, and.
So a message is going to be sent. Will the public know it?
I hope not.
ЦРУ готовит масштабную кибератаку против России. Об этом сообщил американский телеканал NBC со ссылкой на свои источники в разведуправлении. По данным анонимного собеседника, соответствующее распоряжение якобы поступило из Белого дома. И спецслужбы сейчас прорабатывают операцию. Выбирают цели атаки и способы взлома. Все это должно стать ответом на некие действия российских хакеров, которых в США обвиняют во взломе серверов Демократической партии. Об этом уже без намеков говорит вице-президент США Джо Байден. NBC показал анонс интервью, полная версия в эфире в воскресенье. Основная мысль – Вашингтон направит Москве сигнал в нужное время.
Мы посылаем сигнал.
Good evening. There will be no troop movements or a single shot fired. But NBC News has learned exclusively that the United States is poised for an unprecedented retaliatory assault against Russia in response to its interference in the U.S. election. Tonight, high-level U.S. intelligence sources are describing to us details of a CIA-led cyber retaliation against Russian computer systems. And it could get personal, targeting the Russian leadership from Vladimir Putin on down, who the U.S. accuses of sponsoring a series of hacks meant to undermine confidence in the American election. Senior investigative correspondent Cynthia McFadden has details.
NBC News has learned the CIA is in the initial phase of a wide-ranging cyber retaliation designed to be both clandestine and embarrassing. Sources with direct knowledge of the operation tell us the target, the Kremlin leadership, particularly Vladimir Putin. If ordered by the White House, the CIA could manipulate things as specific as the banking accounts and personal phones of the Kremlin leadership, responsible for analyzing Russian cyber capabilities.
You're seeing it play out between two longtime chess players in this field. We've seen it in past decades in the nuclear era, and now we're seeing it in the cyber era.
Unless we stand up to this kind of cyber attack from Russia, we'll only see more and more of it in the future.
But tonight, while the CIA continues to lay the technical groundwork, we're being told that there are deep divisions at the top of the Obama administration about whether to proceed, and there are other options being considered. This mission cannot go forward without an order from the president. Lester?
Cynthia McFadden tonight. Cynthia, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's big happiness for me, and I'm very proud. Okay, I will start from my questions. Situation in Syria become more dangerous and more unpredictable. Why? Because this conflict draw inside more participants and more players. For example, who we have now in Syria on the war? Iran, Lebanon, I mean Hezbollah, Russia, Turkey, USA with huge coalition. China show interest. I mean, do you have any concerns that this conflict result in Third World War? Or maybe it's already beginning of Third World War?
The Russian, Iran and Hezbollah are our allies, and they came here legally. They support us against the terrorists. While the other countries that you described who are interfering, they are supporting the terrorists. So it's not about the number, it's about the main issue, the terrorism. Second is about the word War III. This term have been used recently a lot, especially after the recent escalation regarding the situation in Syria. I would say what we have now, what we've been seeing recently during the last few weeks and maybe few months, is something like more than Cold War, less than war, a full-blown war. I don't know what to call it, but it's not something that has existed recently, because I don't think that the West, and especially the United States, has stopped their Cold War even after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So
yes, it's going on.
You have many stages in that regard, and Syria, one of these important stages. You see more escalation than before, but the whole issue is about keeping the hegemony of the American around the world, not allowing anyone to be partner on the political or international arena, whether Russia or even their allies in the West. So this is the essence of this war that you describe as Third World War that exists. It is a world war, but it's not military war. Part of it is military, part of it is terrorism and security, and other part is political. So you're correct, but in different way, not only about Syria. Syria part of this war.
But you thought Syria became stage of this war.
Yeah.
Why Syria? I mean, okay, you're a big country, but you have oil, but not like Saudi Arabia. Why exactly Syria?
It has many aspects. The first one, if you want to talk about the regional conflict, Syria has good relation with Iran. And Saudi Arabia wanted to, let's say, to destroy Iran completely. Maybe in the political sense and maybe in the material sense or factual sense, for different reasons. So they wanted Syria to go against Iran. That's why destroying Syria could affect Iran negatively. That's how we look at it. The West, for them, Syria and Russia are allies for decades now. And again, if we undermine the position of Syria, we can influence the Russians negatively. But there's something else. It's about the historical role of Syria. Syria has played that role in the region for centuries. It was always the hub of the geopolitical dynamic in the Middle East. So controlling Syria, since the Pharaohs, it's before the Christ, since the Pharaohs, they used to fight for Syria, the Pharaohs and the Hittites. This is historical basis. So it has a role, geopolitics, the position on the Mediterranean, the society, because Syria is the fault line between the different cultures in this region. Whatever happens in Syria will influence the region negatively and positively. So controlling Syria is very important. Although Syria is small, it's very important to control the rest of the region. Second, Syria is an independent country. And the West doesn't accept any independent country, whether Syria is a small country or Russia is a great power. What's their problem with Russia? Because you say yes and no. You have to keep saying yes. So that's the problem with the West. So that's why it's Syria.
Some Western media affirms that the war in Syria now became straight conflict between Russia and USA. You agree with this?
Yeah, for a simple reason. When I said at the very beginning that the issue about the terrorism, Russia wanted to fight terrorism for different reasons, not only for Syria, not only for Russia, for the rest of the region, for Europe, for the rest of the world. They understand what the meaning of terrorism prevailing in certain areas. While the United States have always, since Afghanistan in the early 80s, till this day, they think terrorism is a card you can play. You can put it on the table. You can put it in your pocket and put it on the table anytime. So you're talking about two different entities, two different ideologies, two different behavior, two different approach. That's natural to have this conflict. Even if there's dialogue, they're not on the same page.